Hey, what's going on, Cash Flow Hackers? It's Chris, Life 180. I'm down here in the Dominican Republic. On vacation with my family a little bit this week, but my vacations are always kind of working vacations. I guess that's how we get to kind of live the life that we live. But here's the deal. I just got off a training call that I'm doing for coaching for an agent. And I was inspired to film this video because of the fact that the agent made a comment about the fact that they said that they thought that I was such a great salesperson and that they wish they could communicate and connect with people in a very similar way, and they wish they could do all the things that I did. And my instant response was, I'm not a very good salesperson. I know I am, but it's not because I'm good at scripts. It's not because I'm good at overcoming objections or all the traditional or classic ways that people like to talk about being a good salesperson. I'm not good at going for the close or really kind of hammering people through the door to get that one call close in or two call closes or anything like that. Nor do I have any interest in being good at those things, because to me, that's not what it's about. The reason I'm so good at what I do is because I have more belief in this than people have, right? That's what makes me impactful. And I think, especially in the life insurance business, we have to have that level of belief. If you look around the industry, we have a 93% failure rate after 3 years. And if we look at why that may be the case, I think it's important to really evaluate why that's the case. And it's, if you think about it through the lens of, all right, people get their license, they want to make money, they buy into like all the pitches of the IMOs that are selling the PHPs, the WFGs, the FFLs of the world, and they're all buying into this vision of having their supercars and having their houses. And it's really, even though there's a lot of talk about, like, we're going to teach financial education and financial literacy, and we're going to help people take control of their financial lives, it's a lot of lip service from my experience with all these other companies. It's not about connecting with people. It's not about really serving people. It's about you reaching your goals. And that's what these marketing plans are about. And I just come through the lens of, if we do what we do and we believe in what we do, and we have a level of belief in our product and our service and the problems that we're able to solve for people, and we believe in that so emphatically, and we understand that we have to take massive accountability to become who we need to become to be able to serve people and help people in those ways, well, that's what it's all about. And when I look at it through that lens, and I say, all right, the average 3-year failure rate for life insurance agents is 93%. 93% of agents will fail within the first 3 years. The reason that happens is because that's when your license comes due. And if you get to the 3-year mark and you haven't had success and you haven't built your belief and you haven't become who you need to become, which, let's face it, you're probably not going to be exactly to that level yet, because this takes a lot of time, what's going to happen is you are going to probably give up your license. You're going to let it go because you haven't had the financial success and you don't have enough belief to build yourself to the level and to keep going and to stay involved. And so after this conversation today and after processing these thoughts, I said, you know what are ways that people can go about, and what are things people can do to build their level of belief in themselves, to build their level of belief in their products, in their services, in their ability to actually go out, serve people, and help solve other people's problems when it comes to their finances. When it comes to this, if you join this business because you actually want to serve people and you actually want to help people, how do you actually build your belief to get to that point? The challenge is, people get into this business and they want to do that, and then they join these organizations and they think it's going to be all about helping people, but it really just becomes recruit, and that becomes a little disjointed, and people get a little confused and they say, wow, this isn't what I thought I was getting involved with, so what's going on? Why do I want to keep doing this? Especially if you don't have the level of success out of the gate that you were hoping for. So for the rest of this video, what I want to do is, I came up with 15 ways that I believe you can build your belief. And I think these are really important things to kind of take into consideration. So I'm going to just turn around, walk back the way I'm just walking the property here as I'm doing this we're at this all-inclusive resort, and it's really nice. Right on the beach, on the ocean, Puerto Plata. We're right near a cruise ship port. If I get to that point, I'll show it to you when I get there. But I just figured I'd walk and talk and get through all this while we're going here. So all that said, let's do it this way. The first thing I think you need to do is you need to understand your products deeply. How else to build your belief than to really, truly understand your products? And this is where most companies get it wrong. They spend so much time focused on recruiting, so much time focused on building the business, and not enough time focused on understanding the products. Now, I want to kind of add this caveat in there. One of the other challenges that I see is that people want to know so much about the product before they go do anything. And listen, I honor that. I respect that. I'm never going to tell anybody to go faster than they're comfortable with. If you've never read the book, The Speed of Trust by Stephen Covey, that's everything, right? One of the things that drives me nuts about this industry is when people say, phrases like success leaves clues and just, follow your upline's guidance, and, they expect you to follow blindly on all that stuff. And I will never, ever, ever say that to anybody, because I wouldn't follow that. That makes my skin crawl. It makes the hair on my arm stand up to even think about that stuff, right? And so what I'll say is this, is that you do need to understand your product deeply, because I think with you understanding all of the different ways that your products can help people, all the different problems that your products can solve for people, and when you really truly understand it, not just the surface level sales bullcrap, right? But I'm talking the deep level stuff, your intimate knowledge and awareness. What that does is it allows you to have these conversations with people that are not about selling products, but it's about helping people. It's about connecting with people. And then as you're having those conversations, if you have a deep understanding of the products and what the products can do to help people, now it becomes a reverse engineer kind of situation. You're connecting with people, and then when you find the right opportunity to talk about how your products can help them, well, the transition over to that conversation is going to be a lot more fluid, a lot more seamless. And that's where your closing rate's going to go higher. And your closing rate's going to go higher, not because you're more skilled, not because you're a better salesperson, but because when you go in through that process, it's going to make more sense. And when it makes more sense for the person that you're trying to sell to, that you're trying to serve, right? Like, that's when these problems get solved, and it's really, really amazing. And so I would really encourage you, number one, above and beyond everything else, understand whatever you do, go deep, do a deep dive education, understanding on knowing the products. And also with that, understand that you're not going to get it all down in the first year, first 2 years, first 3 years. It's a constant growth process. And actually, I'm going to talk about that as I keep going through this video. So let's go to number two. Number two is you got to know your impact, right? You got to know the impact that you have the ability to make on people's lives. This is hard. One of the favorite quotes that I heard, and it was nothing to do with life insurance, but it was Dean Graziosi made this comment about marketing and sales and belief. And he said, you have to believe so much in what you do that you believe not sharing it with people would be doing them a disservice. I believe that your ability to have that level of belief has to be surrounded and encapsulated by the idea that you know how much impact that you have the ability to make on other people's lives. Stories about impact on how these have helped people's lives. Go to your upline, go to your manager, go to people that are in communities and masterminds that you get involved with. Hear their stories. Surround yourself with people that have been doing this successfully, and borrow their stories until you have your own. But you got to do it, and you gotta know the impact that you have the ability to make on people's lives. Now, that said, that gets us to number three. Number three is you got to be using the product yourself. You got to be a product of the product, if you will. The reason I say that this is so important is because of the fact that, when you are, how do I say this? If you build your product knowledge, let's go through an order. If you build your product knowledge and you know the impact that it's going to make on other people's lives, and you truly build the belief that you know that impact exists, and you know you have the ability to make that positive influence and impact on people's lives, well, the next natural step is, if you believe in it so much to sell to other people, if you can't influence yourself to make that decision and see that it's the best thing for you, you're going to have a near impossible time being able to influence somebody else to be impacted or believe. You can't get yourself to believe. How are you expecting to get other people to believe that it's important for them, and that not doing this strategy, not buying a whole life policy or a convertible term policy or working with you for debt elimination or something of that nature, how do you expect them to believe in what you're selling if you don't believe it yourself? So I would say the next step is making sure that you use the product yourself. The other thing I would say, when you get to this, the other thing that happens is you realize if you do this the right way, the real goal and the real objective here is to align I say it all the time, align your money with your values and beliefs, right? Really, really dig deep and consider not just the product, not the X's and O's, not the dollar, not the illustrations, not the spreadsheets of it all, even though those are fun to look at, but really consider the attributes of it. Things like control, things about having absolute control about the results in our life, about thinking about results in our life and not returns, about thinking about, being able to build opportunity funds and be able to execute in a way that protects us from downside risk, never having losing years, having a financial foundation, having a self-completing plan that's going to help create a legacy on a guaranteed basis. I don't know, what are the values that really connect with you? But for me, these are the values that are important. One of the biggest reasons I love this is because of the fact that I consider it a self-completing plan, in that I know that by me utilizing whole life insurance as a foundational asset, it allows me to gamify my life. And to me, that's what it's all about, right? And so in doing that and knowing that I've aligned my strategy with my values and beliefs, and realizing that it's not a matter of me having a whole life policy, for instance. It's a matter of what are the problems in my life that I'm trying to solve? What are my goals and objectives in my life? And what attributes do I need in a financial product to be able to accomplish that, be able to be successful with that? And then we go from there, right? And then we just happen to back our way into whole life insurance based on the attributes that it provides. And I believe that in my soul, in my core. I believe that to be the case. I believe that to be the truth. And so because I believe that, because I do that myself, because I live it, it's only natural for me to share that with people, and it comes off as more authentic because it is authentic. You can't fake this stuff, right? So that's it. Now, the next thing I would say, outside of aligning your money with your values and beliefs, is to educate yourself continuously. So I'd say number 5 would be educate yourself continuously. And when you're focused on education constantly, I always say a lot of people like to kind of give me a hard time saying that I like to rip on IUL and I spend too much time focused on that. I'll say this is I've spent the majority of my career, and you talk to anybody that knows me, I spend more time trying to figure out where I'm wrong, and not have confirmation bias. I'm constantly trying to test out and see where am I wrong? Where are these thought processes, that I'm having maybe shifting, because the world is constantly shifting. We look around the landscape economically, monetarily. You look at the fractional reserve banking system. You look at unfunded liabilities. You look at taxes and inflation and the uncertainty in the government and all these things. It all has an impact on the future. What worked for our parents, I'm 44 years old, what worked for my parents, and the financial strategies based on the economic environment that they lived in is not going to work for us. I've done videos on this. I've shown why that is the case. Now, I am so good at what I do, not because I'm a great salesperson, but because I know this and I believe it to my core and in my soul, and I know the numbers, and I've studied not just the product of whole life insurance and term and convertible term and annuities and all the other things, but I've done this and I know it so deep that I can articulate it, I can communicate it, and I'm just trying to share the information that I have, and I'm trying to find people and make a connection with people that share my values and share my beliefs, and I'm really clear and concise about what my core values are, what my mission is, what my vision is for my life, what do I want to accomplish. I'm trying to find other people that are on the same path. That's all I'm doing. It's really not more than that. I'm trying to make this way more complicated than it needs to be. All right, so I would say that. Now, continually educating yourself, I think, is a huge part of this that people need to keep going with, right? I think that's a huge deal. That's important for people to understand. Now, that would be number 5. Number 6, I would say, is practicing empathy. Sometimes I think I get a reputation of being a little hardcore. I'm just going to jump a fence here. Of getting a little hardcore. This is my hotel room right here. We got our own little like private pool stuff. And I'll show you. Check this out. And then I'll say, boom, boom, boom. Cruise ships, right there. We're not on those cruise ships, but we're staying here. But I wake up in the morning. There's like different cruise ships every day. But it's interesting. So I get this reputation for being a bit hardcore, I feel like. And the interesting part to me is like, I'm not a very hardcore guy at all when it comes to this stuff. I guess I'm pretty hardcore in my stance against IUL, and I'm very polarizing, and I'm very intense about that because of the fact that I know what I know, right? I've done it. I've tried to prove myself wrong so many times, and it always comes to the same conclusion. That's why I try to put a new IUL on, that comes out, and I try to test it out. I go through and I see if there's any new features that come out. Doesn't happen. With that, I'm intense. Aside from that, I would say empathy is a huge deal. Think about it this way. When I think about empathy, I'm always thinking about putting myself, in the shoes of the people that I'm trying to serve, right? And they always say the people that we can serve best are the people that are exactly where we were, right? We're trying to help people go through the similar process that what we went through, right? And so, thinking about the different challenges that they're going through, thinking about the different concern points. Don't forget that we're selling life insurance here, right? And so it's all about helping people get through their fears and goals, break through their self-limiting beliefs. I always say you really want to be good at this, be an entrepreneur and be more of a life coach than a life insurance salesperson, right? Like that's what it's all about. And in doing that, when you practice that empathy, I think what that leads to is, I'm going to get to number 7 here, is you got to believe in your own mission, right? You got to believe in what you're doing. Like, what is your goal? What are your objectives? What are your core values? I said this before, but what are your core values? What's the vision that you have for your life? What's your mission statement for your life? And do you have belief in that? Let's take life insurance off the table, right? What do you stand for? What do you want your life to be about? And when you're clear about that, once again, now we're able to reverse engineer a process to figure out what are the attributes of life insurance and how are they in alignment with my values and beliefs about what my mission is for my life. And if you can figure that out, well, now it makes life a lot easier. It makes your belief in this industry a lot higher, and it's going to allow your connection with people to be a lot easier. And like, let's face it, if you truly believe in this, and you're clear about what your mission is, and then you reverse engineer it and you say, oh my gosh, the attributes of what I'm doing are completely in alignment with what my life's mission is. Well, let's say you get 3 years down the road and you've made like $10,000 in 3 years because you just haven't become who you need to be, and maybe you're just a little slower on building your comfort level of communicating and talking to people, because let's face it, sometimes that happens, and that's okay, right? Like that's totally okay. But you're not going to quit, right? You're not going to quit at that point in time because of the fact that, you haven't had the success yet, quote unquote. Because if it's in alignment with your values and beliefs, if it's in alignment with your mission, you're never going to quit, right? Like, even it's not about money. The money is going to come. I truly believe that the reason I love this business is because the amount of money you make is going to be directly correlated to the value that you produce in the economy, the value that you create in the people's lives that you're trying to serve. And so the money you make, the way I look at it, the money you make is just the scoreboard. It's the measuring stick about your impact. That's all it is. And if you do that, that's the key. So you got to believe in your own mission, but here's the deal. You also, number 8 is you have to surround yourself with other believers. I cannot emphasize, this is one of the areas, and I'm going to say this straight up, one of the areas that other companies do better than I do sometimes. The reason I'll say that, and it's not that it's better, but what I'll say is they focus more on the community and the hype and stuff of that nature. And I'm not, if you know me, I hate the hype. It drives me crazy. But I love the belief. I love what we do. So I've started doing more of these mastermind, small, intimate higher level masterminds. I don't believe in trying to hype people up, but I do believe in building belief with people, right? And so there's a fine line. It's important to build belief. It's important to surround yourself with community and with other people that share your values and beliefs and that will be on a similar journey to you, that can understand the journey that you're on, that will support you. Because let's face it, I battled for a decade of people in my family, my closest friends telling me to quit, telling me, Chris, go get a job. Like when I left the big Fortune 1000 company that I was director of business development with and doing really well with, and I tried to go out on my own, and I struggled when I launched Life 180 initially, and I dealt with non-compete lawsuits, and I dealt with all the stuff that was costing me a lot. I had so much belief that it wasn't a matter of me making money. I could not stop. It wasn't even an option for me. And even though I had the ability to just go get a job, make $250,000 a year, and I could have just like that made that leap. And my mom and dad, my in-laws, and I've got 2 little kids at home and a wife, and the only person that was supporting me to not go get a job was my wife, because she understood my belief, and she understood how miserable I would have been if I had to pull myself out of the mission that I was on, right? And so what I had to do is I had to surround myself with other believers, other people that believed in what I believed, other people that were on similar missions. And it didn't have to be. I actually surrounded myself with other people that weren't necessarily life insurance people. They were other people doing their own thing, but they had similar core values. Maybe their impact and their mission in the world is a little different. And that was what it was for me. But what I've realized now is in this business, surround yourself with other people, get in community, go to masterminds, spend money to go to those events, invest in yourself. And what you're going to find is your level of success is going to be accelerated based on the fact that you have built that community and surrounded yourself. This could be mentors, it could be peers, people are on the same path as you, and you're going through the struggles together. It could be experts in the field that you're surrounding yourself with and going to their events or stuff of that nature. But it's really important. Once again, this is one of the reasons that I'm doing the mastermind events that we're doing down here in the Dominican Republic. And I'm going to have more. I think the next mastermind is going to be March of 25. So if you're interested in that, comment in the comment section below, and I'll be able to reach out to you and give you more information on it if you want. Number 9, I would say is think about it this way: is like, don't ever try to sell to people, just try to serve people, right? I look at this as success through service. I kind of touched on this a little bit, got a little ahead of myself a minute ago, but I believe that money follows value. And this industry is a direct reflection of that more than most other industries. So I would say this is like, if you really reflect on the fact that on how your book of products, I would say, has the ability to help people solve real world problems, and you think about like, how am I going to help people solve their problems? And then when you view selling as serving, and you disconnect the selling and you disconnect the end result of the sale, and you think less about the sale and the end result of the close, and you think more about the service in the process, but you can do that because of the fact that you believe and you really connect with the problems that you're able to help them solve, it's going to enhance your belief in your ability to make a difference in their life, right? The thing is like, with life insurance, we have so many different ways to connect with people, whether it's the infinite banking kind of stuff. I would call it cash flow hacking, utilizing whole life insurance for real estate investing, utilizing life insurance, term insurance just for protecting our family, for living benefits, whatever it is. There's a lot of different ways that life insurance is going to connect with people. So it's on us to understand, what are these real life problems, real world problems that people are looking to solve. We have to connect with them. We have to understand what's important to them. I don't ever go in and try to sell people what I do for myself, because I don't know if they're in the same place that I'm at. I don't know if they believe the exact same things. I don't know if their priorities in their life and their vision and mission is similar to me. So to me, it's one of the reasons with every client that I work with, I have them complete what I call the values and beliefs workbook, where they get clear on their core values, they get clear on their vision, and they get clear on their mission. I can't serve somebody until I'm clear about who they are and what they're looking to go for. Like, I could sell them a product, sure, but I can't serve them if I don't know them at a deeper level. And that's the importance. So I would encourage you to think about, how do I serve this person before you think about selling them? And I promise you, if you do that, you're going to sell a lot more. Number 10, as you build your business, I would say this, is that you are going to have more people that you sell to, that you serve. You're going to build your community of clients, and you're going to build your tribe, so to speak, right? As you do that, I would say seek feedback. Your clients will tell you, if you sold somebody a whole life policy or a convertible term or a debt elimination program or anything of that nature, you help them with their credit, you do any of this stuff, chances are those people know people like themselves, because it's just what we do as humans, right? We surround ourselves with a lot of people that are in similar positions. It's just human nature. With that, I would say seek testimonials and feedback from the people that you're serving. And in doing that, it's gonna show you and give you belief in the impact that you're creating for them, because it's gonna give you that mirror, that reflection. But it forces you to be intentional about asking for it, because they're never gonna, very rarely, I should say, are your clients gonna reach out and be proactive with you doing that, right? And trying to give you that positive feedback automatically. You got to ask for it, and you got to be seeking it out. And when you seek that out, it's an opportunity for growth in a lot of ways. A, you're going to see where are the positive things, and B, you're going to see where are some of the areas that I have for improvement. And you can't hide from these things. You just got to constantly work on improving and seeking feedback and testimonials from your clients and the people you're serving, even the people that, decided not to work with you. I would say getting feedback from them on the process is just as important. I have people that have bought from, or that have chosen not to work with me on the life insurance level, but they've given me testimonials about working with me because of the fact that just going through the process with us, they feel like their life is in a better place. That's what I'm saying. Ask yourself this question: is the process that you currently have serving your client to the level, serving your prospect to the level that even if they choose not to work with you or buy a product from you, if that were the case, would they feel like they were better off for the experience either way? And if you can answer yes to that, well, then that's what it's all about, right? And if you can get to that point, that's where the magic happens. That's where you will realize you'll be in a position kind of like where I am, right? Where you can kind of do this at any place, anytime. We're at an all-inclusive. I had this conversation. I met a couple from Wisconsin at the bar yesterday afternoon, and I'm talking to them. We're down here in Puerto Plata, Dominican Republic, and I meet this couple at the bar, and they've got their 21-year-old daughter and her boyfriend here, and before you know it, we're talking about what I do, and we're talking about them, and I'm setting up a call with them. Now, when we get back, all because of the fact that I wasn't trying to sell, I had a real intimate, deep conversation with them that had nothing to do with life insurance and everything to do with them and me just asking engaging questions, right? That's what it's all about. So number 11, let's go to number 11, I would say is always be willing to challenge your doubts. It's just natural. We're human, right? It's natural to doubt yourself. We all have self-limiting beliefs. We all have blind spots. We all have doubts that we have in our own lives. I think it's important to not hide from them, because what happens is those doubts creep into our subconscious. We got to address them head on. I think if there's one thing I do probably better than most people, is I just address things head on. I just go at it, When you do that, it forces you to research. It forces you to ask questions. It seek out counter arguments to whatever the doubts that you have. If you look to confirm the doubts that you have and then look to, seek both sides of the equation, this is never going to end. In the fixed market space, life insurance, investment space, economic environments are going to change. Political environments are going to change. New products are going to be created. Old products that have stood the test of time, like whole life insurance, are going to be made to look poor, made to look bad. It happened in the 80s with universal life insurance. Everybody tried to be like, oh, UL is the new better whole life, right? Well, UL failed and all the whole life policies completely kept going well, right? Then they came out with VUL, variable universal life, and same deal. Everybody said that's now, luckily, that's at least a little bit of a different conversation, and it's more clear about where the risks are in VUL because you need a securities license to sell it. But now IUL is out, and a lot of people are misunderstanding and misrepresenting what that is, and people are once again saying, "Oh, whole life's trash. IUL is the way to go." And that's not the point of this video, but I've done a lot of videos showing why that's just not the case, and people need to understand the dangers in going that path. And that's it. regardless, what I do know is that IUL is going to come and go, just like all the other products. And maybe it'll be around for a long time, but it's not going to be able to be misrepresented and mismarketed the way that it currently is forever. And there are use cases for IUL, but what I know to be true is that no matter what happens on that spectrum, something new is going to come along, and that's just the way it is. And so anytime something new comes out, anytime there are new sales mechanisms, sales tools, sales strategies, what we do currently to be successful is always going to be put to challenge. Now, sometimes it's going to make sense to adapt and to adjust and to pivot or maybe add an arrow to our quiver, so to speak. And sometimes it's going to make sense to just keep holding fast and holding the course. You have to test that for yourself, right? You just have to go through that process. That's what I would say. Number 12, I would say, is visualize success. You got to visualize your own success. You have to think about the positive outcomes, not your success, but the success for your clients. You have to create vision. Like, what I know to be true is most people lack vision, right? That's just the way it is. We have to be really intentional about creating our vision, because if you don't create your own vision, you're going to end up living somebody else's vision, right? You're going to live somebody else's plan. And so I would say that our job is to visualize the positive outcomes that are going to happen for our clients when they use whatever strategy that you're trying to help them with, right? And in doing so, it's going to help you connect to the end result, and it's going to emotionalize the process, because remember, people don't make these decisions logically. We validate our decisions with logic, but we make these decisions emotionally, and we have to visualize that outcome and that emotional element to everything. And so that is what it is. But so I would say visualize your success, visualize your client's success, and by doing that, you're going to be able to be more effective in the way you communicate the impact of your strategies to your clients. Now, the next one, if you're visualizing that and you're helping build that vision, helping them connect and go through a process that's going to build them and get them to connect with their own vision, right? Now, this is where you're kind of function more as a life coach than anything else. Now you have to engage. Number 13 here would be engage with your client's success. One of the biggest things and challenges that I see in this industry is that people, it's a fixed product. So whether it's a term policy or a whole life policy or anything in between in the fixed market, we have a habit of seeing people in this industry as life insurance agents sell a product and then they never talk to their clients again because it's off to the next sale. Follow up with your clients, engage with their success, be their coach, be their resource, hear how their lives were impacted, meet with them once or twice a year, check in with them, hear their stories, hear their concerns, engage with them, because it's going to help you become better. You might not make more sales, but what you will do initially is you'll connect with them more. You'll build more trust. You'll hear more stories. You'll build your belief, and eventually that's going to lead to more referrals. It's going to lead to more sales from them, but it's not about the sales and the referrals and all that stuff. It's about you building your belief in your process, because when you truly show up for your clients the way that you know is going to make an impact in your life, that gets your subconscious to believe that you're becoming who you need to be to differentiate yourself in the marketplace. So now when you talk to somebody, you can truly know that you are different, that they'd be foolish to work with anybody else but you. That's the important part there, right? And with that, I'd say this. Number 14 is you got to focus on the long-term benefits of this. One of the biggest challenges, I'll say this about whole life insurance, is that if you look at the first 7 years on an illustration, and you look at just the money in, the cash value availability, and let's say you're doing $10,000 a year, and by year 7 you put in $70,000 of premium, and maybe you have $68,000 of cash value, and maybe you have, I don't know, $700,000 of death benefit. Let's just call it that, right? So the idea here would be saying, well, it's not a super sexy thing. What's the opportunity cost of having my money in there, right? If we look at just the first 7 years and we think short term, then it's a harder sale. But if we were to start at year 7 and look at the $10,000 premium and look at how every dollar performs year 7 and beyond, and not thinking about the internal rate of return of the policy, but the actual result the rate of result that we're after in our life, and how is this product, how are the attributes of this product helping us accomplish every goal that we have in our life. The cash value liquidity, the emergency fund, the opportunity fund, the real estate investing, the bond portfolio alternative for retirement, the life insurance, the living benefits if we become critically, chronically, or terminally ill. What are the long-term benefits of this? Because the short-term costs come with long-term benefits that most people don't have the vision of understanding. So it's our job to really influence and communicate to our clients the power of thinking long-term. And when they do, you realize the power behind what you do is so much stronger. So that's number 14. And number 15, I would say, is this. This takes time, but it's develop your personal story. Obviously, I create a lot of content. The reason I create content is, and have created so much content since 2016, and I think I have over 1,400 videos now live on YouTube. And for every one video I have on YouTube, 1,400, I probably have 5 more videos behind the scenes in my private coaching areas, in my community areas for the Life 180 agents, all these other areas that are available. So I'll say all in all, I've probably done 7,000 videos over the past, 8 years, 9 years, right? And in that time, it's allowed me to build my story. It's allowed me, they always say the best way to learn is to teach. Out of the gate, when I first started doing this, one of the things that helped me the most was the fact that I was learning because I was trying to find topics to film videos on, and that forced me to become who I needed to be to live into that, right? Like if I go back and watch some of my first videos, it's not necessarily the best content of all time, right? I wasn't as comfortable. I wasn't as fluid. I couldn't just sit here and rap with a camera and talk to the camera like I'm talking to a person, which I've just gotten really comfortable doing because I've done it 6,000, 7,000 times, right? What I would say is that in going through your story, and I'll just share mine, like I've built my personal story, and building my personal story builds belief. It builds relatability. I've got stories of my best friend dying at 51 years old and me not doing what I needed to do to influence him enough to have the insurance to protect his family. And now I have to live with the fact that his family didn't have enough, right? And his 22-year-old daughter now had to have a negative impact on her life. His wife had to downsize and move out of the big house in Arizona on the side of the mountain that they were living on and move into a small condo. Those kinds of things, right? Like, not the end of the world, but for her, and she's okay. She's not like destitute and living on the streets or anything, but it's still, relatively speaking, a big deal. My father-in-law, who was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer on November 4th, 2020, in the middle of COVID. Crazy story there is like, he didn't believe in life insurance. And ironically, it was his ability to accelerate his death benefit for his life insurance policy to pay for alternative treatments, because they said he had a 7.5 centimeter tumor on his pancreas and his liver. It was too bad to operate, too bad to even give chemo or radiation. They gave him 90 days to live. And my wife and I said no. And we had the ability to accelerate a death benefit and pay for alternative treatments out of pocket. And he's alive today. After given a 90-day prognosis of living, he's alive today, 4 years later. And he's playing with his grandkids multiple times a year. He was just in the Dominican Republic visiting. We're going to go back for Christmas and spend time with them in Arizona. And it's these sorts of things that have helped me build my story. There's so much more than just those things. But in doing this, those things build your belief, right? But you got to stick around. You got to be here. You got to have impact. You got to do this. You got to be a product of the product. You got to do this for your own life. You got to do this with other people's lives. You got to be intentional about doing it. And if you go through and you follow 1 through 14, you're going to build your own story. You're going to be here. You're going to stay the course of time, stand the test of time, and you'll be successful. My encouragement to you is get in this, join the right team, join the right organization that shares your values purely. It's not just about selling something. It's not just about selling a product. It's not just about one little channel of the solutions that these products have to offer. It's really about serving people. And that is what it is. If you do that and you really align this with your values and your beliefs, and you've figured out how to do that, well, then why would you ever quit? That's my belief. And that's why my mission right now is to make it so the failure rate is down to 25%. And by failure rate, I mean quitting rate. And right now it's 93%. I want to drop that all the way to 25% because I believe if people do this, there's no reason to ever quit. If you truly just believe in what you're doing, why would you ever quit this? So anyway, hopefully that helps. If you're an agent and you're looking, I would say go down below in the description or go to agent.life180.com, set up a call with somebody on our team. We can help you out. If you're somebody who's looking to maybe look at a policy for yourself, I would say go down, set up a clarity call. I'll put a link in the first comment. I'll pin it to the top there. You can check that out as well. But I would obviously suggest everybody subscribe and hit the bell. That way you're notified when I launch new videos. I've got some of the best, deepest dive, most educational videos on the internet when it comes to really understanding how this stuff works. And I really believe in education over marketing. I believe in really just serving people. And so if you're looking to learn about this stuff, either as an agent or as a prospective client, I would say reach out. We're here. My team is an abundance of resources for you. We have all sorts of stuff that can help you out. If you are interested in the Values and Beliefs workbook, I would say email chris@life180.com and I can set you up with something. I can share the 13-page document as a free kind of offer from me to you. Just ask for it. I'll give it to you. Something I have all of our clients go through, and it's a wildly valuable thing, whether you choose to work with us or not. It's kind of my gift to you because I think it's that important. So anyway, hopefully that helps. Hopefully you have an amazing day. I'm going to go have fun now, and this is going to go enjoy the rest of the view that I have and go enjoy my family a little bit for the rest of the day. And that is the beauty of living this life. If you do this the right way, like, this is the thing, like, you can do this from anywhere. You could travel, you can have all sorts of fun, and it's amazing. So have a blessed, inspirational day. I'll talk to you soon.